Dear students, welcome back to Microcontroller and Embedded Systems. I was explaining you about SRAM cell and DRAM cell differences. SRAM cell made up of 6 CMOS transistors, MOSFET, where DRAM cell is made up of MOSFET and capacitor. SRAM cell doesn't require refreshing, where DRAM cell requires refreshing. SRAM cell is more expensive, where DRAM cell is less expensive. SRAM cell is fast in operation. Typical access is 10 nanosecond, where DRAM cell is slow in operation due to refresh requirement. Typical access time 60 nanoseconds. So it is a write operation is faster than read operations in DRAM cell. Next is first of all I would like to say thanks to nodes who have made these other colleges. Wonderfully they have made this. So we are referring that things. We are really thankful to that. For people who have made the notes. Memory according to the types of interfaces. The interface means connection. Connection of memory with the processor or controller can be of various types. It may be a parallel interface. Parallel data lines D0 to D7 for an 8-bit processor. Controller will be connected to D0 to D7 to the memory. Memory density is expressed in terms of kilobytes. Serial interface means like these things like I square C. It is a two-line serial interface used for data storage memory like EEPROM. Memory density of serial memory is usually expressed in terms of kilobytes. Next, SPI, serial peripheral interfaces, 2 plus N line interface, where N stands for the total number of SPI bus devices. Memory shadowing. Memory shadowing is one of the important concepts. Memory shadowing. RAM access is about 3 times as fast as ROM access. Execution of program from read-only memory, ROM is very slow, 120 to 200 nanosecond, compared to the execution from random access memory, 40 to 70 nanoseconds. Shadowing of memory is a technique adapted to solve the execution speed problem in the processor-based systems. In a computer system and video system, there will be a configuration holding ROM called Basic Input Output Configuration ROM. Simply BIOS, BIOS. BIOS stores the hardware configuration information like the address assigned for various serial ports, other non-plug-in play devices. Usually it is read the system configurations according to it during a system boot up, and it is time consuming. Now the manufacturer include RAM behind the logical layer of BIOS at its same address is shadowed to the BIOS, and the following steps happen. First one, during the boot up, BIOS is copied to the shadowed RAM. RAM is write protected. BIOS reading disabled. So 3 steps you should remember. During the boots up, BIOS is copied to the shadowed RAM. RAM is write protected and BIOS reading is disabled. Why both RAM and ROM are needed for holding the same data? The answer is RAM is volatile and it cannot hold the configuration data which is copied from the BIOS where the power supply is switched off. Only a ROM can hold permanently, but for high system performance it should be accessed from RAM instead of accessing from ROM. Next, memory selection for embedded systems. Embedded system requires a program memory for holding the control algorithm or embedded operating system and applications. Data memory for holding variables, temporary data during task executions, and memory for holding non-volatile data like configuration data, lookup table, etc., which are modifiable by the applications. The memory requirement of an embedded system in terms of RAM, ROM, EEPROM, flash, NVRAM is dependent on the type of the embedded system and the application of which it has designed. Depending on that, memory will be designed. There is no hard and fast rule for calculating the memory requirements. Lot of factors need to be considered when selecting the type and size of memory for embedded systems. For example, if the embedded system is designed using SoC or microcontroller with on-chip RAM or ROM, flash, EEPROM, depending on the application need on-chip memory may be sufficient for designing the total system. As a rule of thumb, identify your system requirements and type of the processor. Take a decision on whether on-chip memory is sufficient or external memory is required. So depending on the applications, we have to decide. Wait. Example, embedded design based on RTOs. RTOs require certain amount of RAM for execution of ROM for storing RTOs images. Binary code of RTOs kernel containing the services stored in the non-volatile memory like a flash, either compressed or non-compressed data. During the boot of the device, RTOs files are copied from the program storage memory, decomposed if required, loaded in the RAM for execution. The supplier of the RTOs usually gives a routine rough estimate on the runtime RAM requirement, program memory requirement for RTOs. On a safer side, always add a buffer value to the total estimated RAM and ROM size requirement. Example, smartphone device with a Windows mobile operating system. Suppose 64 MB RAM and 128 MB ROM are the minimum requirements for running the Windows mobile device. Indeed, you need extra RAM and ROM for running user applications. So, while building the systems, count the memory for that also, and arrive at a value which is always at the safer side, so that you won't end up in a situation where you don't have sufficient memory to install and run user applications. Next is sensors and actuators. Next is very important thing is sensors and actuators. What is a sensor? A sensor is a device that converts energy from one form to another for a measurement or control purpose. An embedded system is constant interactions with the real world, and the executed by the embedded system is achieved accordance with the chances of happening in the real world. The changes in the system environment or variable are detected by the sensors connected to the input port of the embedded systems. Sensors which count steps functionality is an auto sensors. What I call sensor used in smartwatch devices to measure the high intensity is an ALS, ambient light sensor. If the embedded system designers for a controlling purpose, the system will produce some changes. The controlling variable bring the controlled variable to the desired value. It is achieved through an actuator connected to the output port of the embedded system. Actuator is form of a device, mechanical or electrical, which converts signals to corresponding physical motion. Actuator acts as an output device. Smartwatch uses light sensors to detect the surrounding light intensity, and you use electrical actuator to circuit to adjust the screen brightness. If you observe here, temperature sensor detects heat, sends the detector signal to the control center, where control center sends a command to sprinkler. Sprinkler turns on and puts the flame. So you can observe that actuators here. Next, wait. If the embedded system is designed monitoring purpose only, then there is no need for including an actuator in the system. For example, take the case of a ECG machine. It is designed to monitor the heartbeat status of a patient, and it cannot impose a control over the patient heartbeat, and it is order. The sensor is used here, the different electronic sets connected to the body of the patient. The variations are captured and presented to the user through a visual display, some printed charts. So difference between sensors and actuators we can see. Sensor is an input device, actuator is an output device. Sensors converts a physical parameter to an electrical output, where actuator convert electrical signal to physical output. Sensor is a device that detects an event or changes in the environment, send the information to another electronic device. Actuator is a component of a machine that is responsible for moving controlling mechanisms. Sensor help to monitor the changes in the environment, where actuator helps to control the environment or physical changes. So we have studied up to here. Their input output designs we'll study in next class. Study well. Wish you all the best.